Everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have done a video kind of similar to this, maybe a little bit different, where I talked about things that are in my professional kit that work on everybody, meaning I could use them on every single client and it's gonna work no problem. This is still talking about my professional kit, but what this is things I absolutely cannot live without within my kit, things that I have repurchased over and over and over again, things that I do use on the majority of my clients. And I'm including skin prep as well as makeup. It's just a little something different. You know, I don't talk about all of these products. Some I haven't talked about at all because they live in my kit and I don't necessarily use them on myself. Not because they're not good, but because they live in my kit. And I randomly will get DMs on Instagram of people asking if I will do a video on my kit as a whole. And I thought this was a good place to start. So I'm just gonna jump in and go through some must-have products that I don't wanna be without in my professional kit. I have been doing makeup predominantly bridal for 11 years now, and I love everything about it. I started out knowing that I wanted to do bridal, and I will do some other things other than bridal, but that is where my heart is. So a lot of the products I'm gonna talk about today are gonna be geared more towards brides and bridal party, mother of the bride, grandmother of the bride, and so on. So we're gonna start with skin prep. I have 3 moisturizers, and I say moisturizers because one of them I sometimes use it as a moisturizer, but I really like it as an eye cream that I will rotate through. Sometimes I will use serums. Sometimes I will use an oil like I am going to talk about in a second. It really just depends on what the skin looks like, what the skin feels like, if it's overly dehydrated, if it's in good condition. And if it is in good condition, I don't like to put too much prep on their skin because I don't want anything to interact negatively with the makeup. So I love and have used since day one, on and off of my kit, the Embryolisse Lay Cream Concentrate. So this is a moisturizer, it is a primer, it's basically the only thing you need for prep. So if I'm working on, say, a bridesmaid or a junior bridesmaid, or somebody sits in my chair, they've got great skin, it's not dehydrated, it's not dry, it's not overly oily, it is just very balanced. This is basically all I'm gonna use as far as skin prep. And I like to layer a very thick amount. I will try to put a clip in of me doing this on one of my clients that I posted on Instagram, and almost not even rub it in all the way. Let it sit while I do the eyes and sink in, and it just makes the best base for makeup. So Embryolisse. Now, if I have someone who is oily, I am not going to skip moisturizer. There are some makeup artists that will say if you're super oily, just skip the moisturizer, go right in with makeup. I firmly believe that hydration is still needed and moisture is still needed so that excessive oils don't come out throughout the day, but I do choose wisely, and I love using the Purito Deep Sea Pure Water Cream. This is a brand new one. This is an empty one that I have in my drawer to talk about in my next empties. It says it's a cream, but it's more of a gel consistency, which I really like to use on oily clients. And it sits so beautifully under makeup. And this is a moisturizer that, again, I will use as a moisturizer sometimes, but I really like it as an eye cream. This is the Weleda Skin Food Light Nourishing Cream. I know Weleda Skin Food, been in the industry for a very long time, and it is a great product, but I like the light for under the eyes because it's still super moisturizing, but it's not so thick that it's gonna interact with concealer. It works beautifully. 2 other prep products I want to talk about. This one I don't think I've ever mentioned on my channel unless I've used it in a client video, but this is the Danessa Myricks Beauty Oil Hydrating Facial Oil. You can see I've used quite a bit of this. This is the oil that I mentioned earlier. If someone's super dehydrated, if they're have very mature skin and they just need more moisture, this is beautiful on the skin. And I'm talking, it sinks in so fast. It does not leave an oily residue. It is not like a thick oil you would use in your skincare routine. This is made to go under makeup and it works fabulously. And then the only other skin prep product that I want to talk about, again, I don't think I have mentioned this, but this is something that I get asked about by clients I use this on all the time. What did you use on me? What made that big difference? And it's the Daniel Sandler, which I've talked about their blushes lately. I absolutely love them. This is the Anti-Redness Foundation Primer. I've used probably half of this. I won't be without it in my kit. It is beautiful. Yes, there are a lot of color correcting primers on the market, but there's something about this one that sits well under makeup and does the job perfectly. It is what it says it is. It's a green primer. So it's going to color correct and counteract redness. So if I have someone with rosacea or excessive amounts of redness, or they flush when they're nervous and get super red, I will use this as my primer underneath their makeup. And quite honestly, I have had makeup lessons that I will use this in, and the client will leave saying that they're gonna use this on most days when they don't wanna wear foundation. If you just put this on, if you have a lot of redness, it is going to disappear into the skin, color correct, and just make you look like you have flawless skin. And I just like the formula of this. I like the priming abilities of this, and I just don't wanna be without it. So now let's get into makeup. I'll try to go in the order I use this, but I'm probably gonna mess up somehow. The Fit Glow Beauty Color Corrector in Peach. This is probably my 5th or 6th one that I have gone through in my kit, and I honestly need to go ahead and buy a backup of this. I get all of my Fit Glow Beauty from Freeze Co Beauty, and this I've talked about loving on myself as well as my clients, but it is my favorite kind of peach color corrector that works on everyone, that really, really knocks out that redness, and you need the very smallest amount. If I'm gonna use a corrector, I don't wanna use a lot of it because I know I'm gonna put a concealer on top of it. Everybody's under eyes are different, but one main thing is that it's the thinnest skin on our face. So I don't wanna put a lot of product there, and I'm able to correct darkness with this with just one dot under each eye. And no matter what concealer I put on top of it, it works every time. Now, foundation. I rotate through a lot of foundation in my kit. I typically will have 3 to 4 different formulas depending on how much coverage somebody wants, what kind of skin they have, the longevity. Lots of factors go into the choice that I make when selecting a foundation for my clients. But one that I really don't want to be without in my kit is twofold, and it's the Chantecaille Future Skin Gel Foundation. I carry a few colors of this in my kit because A, I love it as a foundation. If someone does not wear makeup at all, talking at all, I have had clients that have never worn a stitch of makeup in their entire life before they sit down in my chair. If I were to go in and put a super full coverage foundation on them and load them up on all the stuff, they would freak out. And most importantly, they would not feel like themselves. So this is definitely the foundation of choice when I have a client who is not a makeup person, because it is so very sheer and light. It is weightless on the skin. But if I have someone who sometimes wears makeup, wants a glowy look, I can add a concealer in with this, mix it in, and it works every time. It doesn't matter what concealer it is, just to, up the coverage a little bit, and it still maintains the finish and just the absolute perfection that this foundation is. And another reason when I said twofold is that we all know I love this as concealer, and that does not stop on my clients. I will use this many a times, and it's quite often where I don't really, especially for mother of the brides and grandmother of the brides, I won't use another concealer. I will use this as their concealer, and it is just as flawless on them as it is on me. Let's talk about blush. Man, I have a lot of blush options in my kit. I really need to condense my kit. I've condensed it probably 10 times over the past 11 years, and I still can't get it as small as I'd like it, but I like to have options. However, there is one blush that I go back to 75 to 80% of the time on my clients, and that is the Rare Beauty Liquid Blushes. These are so long wearing. I talked about them in my last video where I talked about how I apply my cream blush. I love these so much. When I say you need a dot of this for both cheeks, that is all you need. The actual product is going to last me forever, and it lasts on the face forever. I can use it by itself. I can top it with another blush. It just ensures good pigment, that the blush shows up, that it's lightweight on the skin, and that it will last all day. So I have 5 shades in my kit. These are them right here. I have Encourage, Happy, Hope, and then the last 2 are from the holiday kit that I recently talked about. Virtue is that pretty peach, and Beloved is this gorgeous brick color. There are some that have a more matte finish. There are some that have a more dewy finish, but you're not gonna get sweaty looking using these at all. And while I have definitely tried many other cream blushes in my kit. There's not one yet that I love more than that, for the fact of the pigment that comes with it and the longevity that comes with it, the array of colors you can get. It's just perfection. I'm not gonna go through every single makeup category, but I do have to talk about powder, because I have repurchased this powder at least 4 times, and I just took advantage of the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty to get a couple of more, not of more shades, 1 extra shade and a refill of my most loved shade, and it's the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter powders. I love this so much. It's great for oily skin, but it also works on dry combination skin. I have not found anybody it doesn't work on. My favorite shade is Butter, which is this kind of neutral leaning, a tad yellow, hence the name Butter. But this is the one that I have repurchased probably 4 times now. And I love this under the eyes on all ages. I love it on the face, especially on the T-zone, using a powder puff to really ensure the shine stays at bay, but not look too dry or cakey looking. And then I recently picked up the shade Lavender in the 21 Days of Beauty sale, and I love this for setting the under eyes. Ever since I've gotten this, I haven't used another powder to set any of my clients' under eyes. I highly recommend these powders. I have other powders in my kit, and I will use them occasionally. I do really love the Charlotte Tilbury, but I don't use the Charlotte Tilbury to set under the eyes. I always go for the Fenty. I tried the new Makeup by Mario powders. I have a couple of those in my kit. I don't like them as much as the Fenty. It's just, this has been #1 for a long time now. Let's talk about eyes. I have 2 things for eyes. I'm gonna start out with eyeliner. I've talked about this so much, so I'm gonna try not to spend too much time on it, but the Victoria Beckham eyeliners are phenomenal. I love them for so many reasons. This is my most used shade in Cocoa. One of the reasons is you can see how insanely smooth and pigmented these liners are. They have playtime, meaning I can smoke them out before they set down. I very rarely will not smoke out an eyeliner. I just love the effect. It's not as defined or harsh. Obviously, if someone asks for a more defined liner, I will do that, but otherwise I'm using this. It stays on the waterline nicely if I want a tight line. It doesn't run if I use it underneath the eyes. It's just so pretty. I do use these personally in other shades, but Cocoa I have probably repurchased 4 times so far, and I use it on, 80% of my clients. And we'll talk about eyeshadow. I have so many eyeshadows in my kit. Another thing I do really need to dwindle down. I love Viseart. I will forever love Viseart, and they do occupy a good amount of space in my kit. I've talked about them a lot. I have a Tarte palette that I love that's discontinued, of course, because I love it and that's just how it works. But this palette right here that I put together using MAC shadows is probably my go-to for brides, and you can likely see that just in this shade selection alone. It's neutral. It has a little bit of some pinks, a couple of darker shades if I want to, smoke something out. It's got more mattes than shimmers, but it does have 6 shimmers and 9 matte shades, and I just reach for it all the time. And a lot of jobs I will only get this palette out and I will have everybody done. I've thought about doing a whole video on this, swatching them, saying the colors that are in it, maybe doing a couple eye looks using this. If you want to see something like that, please comment down below and I will definitely get that done for you. 2 more products. This one is probably not gonna come as a surprise, and I can't hold this up that well because I do have some MAC powders in here that are not staying like I want them to. We're just gonna have them drop down. This is a Makeup Forever magnetic palette, and these 4 powders right here are my Jane Iredale Pure Press base. You knew there was gonna be a Jane Iredale product in here, and that is definitely one that I absolutely don't wanna be without. I will often use that as the only foundation on my clients, especially if I'm pressed for time. If I have quite a few people I'm needing to get done, there is a very tight schedule, I can still get a beautiful look just using that powder, skipping a step, and have it look flawless. I like using it with a fluffy brush to set makeup sometimes. I like it over MAC Face and Body. I love it over my Jane Iredale Hydra Pure. It's just beautiful and something that I don't want to be without and reach for very often. And if I don't use it at all as part of the makeup process, but somebody may still have like a blemish that's showing through, I use it as a concealer. In that instance, at the very end, I will take a very small detailed brush and really press the product into that blemish, and it is covered and good to go for the day. And then the last product is a lipstick. I, just like everything else, have a wide variety of lipsticks and lip liners and lip glosses that I use in my kit. But this one is one that I don't want to be without, specifically for mothers and grandmothers of the bride. And I say that because typically they will want more color on their lips, whereas the bride and bridesmaids may enjoy more of a nude lip. And this Chantecaille lip veil is something that I use so often, like more often than not, on the mothers and grandmothers of the bride. This is not pretty because I do use a spatula to get it out. I will never use a lip product directly on my client, nor mascara, lip gloss. When you see someone online doing that, don't trust them to do your makeup. That's all I'm gonna say. So I do use a clean spatula to get this out, which I will do now to swatch for you. But this is just, the color is so pretty. And the reason that I love this other than the color is the finish. So this is a very sheared out swatch. So I definitely can get it much darker than that, or I can shear it out like this. It's just a very pretty berry shade, but the lip veil is a very moisturizing product. And if anyone has dry lips or they get dry throughout the day, especially if they don't drink enough water, which typically happens on days of events because that's the last thing we're thinking of, having a hydrating lip product like this is fabulous. I do always give my clients a little tub of whatever lip color that I use on them so that they can reapply throughout the day. And I have had many people email me after the event asking what shade that was so they could repurchase it themselves. It's just beautiful. From the color to the finish, I love everything about it. So that is just a culmination of my must-have products in my professional kit, why I love them, why I continue to repurchase them. I will have them all listed and linked down in the description box per usual. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank y'all so much for watching. Be sure and like and subscribe before you leave so you don't miss out on any future videos. And I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day.